Afternoon, everyone. Today, Atlanta Police Department will brief you on 3 cases, 2 from 2022, 1 from 2021 from Anderson Park, where a young male was killed, and we recently took the person responsible for that killing into custody. This week's swift arrest of individuals responsible for the homicide at I-20 and Windsor Street shows the dedication of the men and women of the Atlanta Police Department. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, our local, state, and federal partners, who's been a great partnership with us this year. We want to make it clear, with the backing of the mayor and Chief Bryant, criminal street gang violence, shootings will not be tolerated in Atlanta. If you are identified, we will be coming to arrest you. I think the recent arrests over the last few weeks have shown that, and some cases take longer than others, but know that they're not forgotten. So with that said, we have some cases involving some young individuals as well that are juveniles. We do not pride ourselves with arresting those young men, but unfortunately, bad things result in bad consequences. There's no winners in that case when you charge a young individual. A family has lost a loved one, as well as a mother or father finna lose someone to the jail cell. So with that said, I'm gonna turn it over to Lieutenant Woolfolk, and he'll update you on those cases.
All right, so as the Major has indicated, we have been working relentlessly on a number of investigations, and 4 of them I'm going to cover as to some of the questions that we have received from the media, just to bring you up to speed as it pertains to the investigations. Those 4 cases are 669 Pryor Street, which is a recent incident having occurred here in the city of Atlanta at the Atlanta Fair. The second incident is the Windsor and I-20 homicide that recently occurred. And we're going to also talk to 1959 Metropolitan, and I know you might have some questions regarding that incident. And then finally, going back to 100 Anderson Avenue, which is a homicide that occurred last year in the arrest of Fernando Felton. Our office has been inundated with questions regarding all 4 of these incidents, and we've been asked by Public Affairs to bring you an update regarding each one of these investigations. So I'm going to start with the 100 Anderson Avenue incident. That was the incident last summer. This is when Jakari Dillard, 17-year-old Jakari Dillard, was shot and transported to the hospital where he did succumb to his injuries. So our investigators worked obviously relentlessly in being able to identify the person involved in this incident. And Fernando Felton, 18-year-old Fernando Felton, was identified and brought into custody. And our Fernando Felton worked with his family and his friends to abscond police over several months. He was not successful in being able to do so. We did work closely with our federal partners, and our elite fugitive unit was able to not only ascertain where he was by working in tandem with the public and our federal partners, but they were able to arrive at his location and bring him into custody without incident. So once again, this case reiterates the fact that if you commit crimes and acts of violence like this in our city, we will pursue you relentlessly, and we do have dedicated men and women that stand ready to bring you into custody. The second incident that we want to bring some clarity to is 669 Pryor Street, and the detective that has worked as the lead on this case stands over my right shoulder, Detective Malone. An extremely talented investigator that has worked truly relentlessly on this case. Without sleep, several days into the investigation, he was working to identify all parties involved. And this was an intricate investigation. This was a difficult investigation in the fact that there were several persons that were involved in this incident on the night in which it occurred, and working to identify all the parties and moving parts regarding that investigation. What we do ask at this time is that the public, despite the progress that this investigation has made, we ask that the public continue to provide our office with information. If you heard anything on that night, if you observed anything on the night of this incident, we ask that you come forward and continue to aid us in building upon the investigation and where Detective Malone has brought the homicide unit in this office to this point. at this time. So we'll probably answer some additional questions regarding that incident after the recap, but we are happy with the progress that is made there and the substantial work that's been done. And then finally, or the final two incidents, the Windsor Street and I-20 incident, we've garnered a lot of questions in relationship to that incident. This was on the evening of March 14th, in which there was an individual seated at a traffic light, and vehicles pulled up adjacent to that vehicle and fired a barrage of gunfire into the decedent's vehicle. He was pronounced dead on scene, and once again, the Atlanta Police Department's homicide unit began to work relentlessly through the night to move that investigation forward. And we were working in tandem with internal partners in the Atlanta Police Department as well as external partners, including the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. We were able to identify the persons responsible for that act, and those persons are Shannon Jackson, 5'4" of 1992, and Quamarius, we'll provide this information to your office as well, Quamarius Nichols, 10/31 of 1994, and then also an outstanding subject is still Miles Nichols, October 31st, 1994. All of these individuals have been charged with felony murder as well as criminal street gangs. So once again, this was a partner in act. This was a lot of collaboration, a lot of partnership, internal and external in the police department to bring us to the resolution on this case. And as our chief and our mayor has indicated, gang activity will not be tolerated in our city. Violent crimes will not be tolerated in our city. This incident occurred on March 14th, and you already see where the chips have fallen. Both Shannon is in custody, as well as his counterpart, Quavarius. They did get into a car chase with Georgia State Patrol, as well as the Atlanta Police Department and our helicopter unit. They were brought into custody in East Point at the time in which they elected to flee. They tried to throw weapons out of the window, as well as narcotics were recovered inside of the vehicle. So this obviously did not work out for them in the fact that they were both brought into custody as they attempted to flee from police. And the final case that we want to bring some clarity to is 1959 Metropolitan Parkway. This was late yesterday evening. Our office is still here. We have not having gone home regarding this investigation. We've worked through the night relentlessly on this case, in that there was a young lady that was leaving out of the bowling alley after an altercation over a bowling ball, and she was subsequently shot in the parking lot. So where we are in this investigation is having detained one of the individuals, having been involved in this, and we understand that she is cooperating with the investigation at this time, and we look forward to moving that investigation forward and identifying all parties and anyone that was involved in this incident. We do ask that the public continue to provide our information with our office with information so that we may streamline these investigations and continue to move it forward. Once again, as indicated on so many instances before, we do thank the Crime Stoppers and the Atlanta Police Foundation for providing awards or rewards for up to $2,000 for information leading to the identification and arrest of these individuals. So we do want to push this out, that you can receive rewards up to $2,000 that we are completing paperwork on and sending out upon you providing our office with the right information, and which is panned out on so many cases. So we do appreciate the partnership and collaboration with the public as it pertains to these investigations. We'll take any questions that you have at this time.
The individual who was detained in the bowling ball case, is she considered a suspect? And are you looking for additional suspects?
No, at this point in time, we're examining all possibilities. We're continuing to work through some questions regarding that person. This is fluid and very active. We were just updated as to her being detained within the last couple of hours.
As far as the Atlanta Fair, do you have any updates on what started that shooting and how many people you guys are looking for?
Yeah, so once again, we've attributed this to numbers before, and the data indicates that 42% of our homicides are attributed to escalating dispute. And there's no anomaly with this case. There was an argument that transpired. The incident escalated and resulted in gunfire, and unfortunately, in this case, a 16-year-old kid being killed.
How many people are you looking for? Do you know?
At this time, we're going to leave that open into the. Once again, it's a very complex investigation. Anytime you have this many people in one concentrated area, and the gunshots and barrage of gunfire in which this particular circumstance exhibited, this has been a very complex investigation for Detective Malone to work through in tandem with the homicide unit.
And one more quick question
Yeah.
to follow with that. are there any indications that the victim knew the other victims in this case, or even knew some of the shooters or any of the people involved?
Right, so with any of our investigations, we're open to examining any and all possibilities. Our office stands ready to receive any information that the public may have. If you heard anything, if you observed anything, as we continue to put all of the complex layers to this investigation together, we ask that you please contact our office.
Are those suspects all or some juveniles?
Yeah, we're looking at the majority of the persons involved in this incident were juveniles.
On the Windsor incident, you named the 3 suspects. Are those 2 Nichols related, and if so, how?
No, there's no indication that those are related at this time.
Oh, no, the 2 suspects both have last name Nichols. Are they related?
No.
They're not. And do we have any idea of a motive there? Was this gang-on-gang crime? Was the victim a non-gang member?
Yeah, what I can tell you is that there was a gang nexus, and all of the parties having been involved in this incident did belong to a criminal street gang, and as including the victim.
And do you have
Yeah.
2 or 3 in custody in that case?
We have two of the 3 individuals in custody, and 1 in which we believe to be the shooter. But once again, as we reiterate, our chief and our mayor have indicated clearly that gang violence will not be tolerated in our city. And this is once again an example as to but all of the individuals involved in this incident were involved in a criminal street gang, and 2 of the 3 in which fired upon the decedent's vehicle are in custody at this time.
And
So
when was
which
that?
one is outstanding? Because you said
Miles.
Brandon Jackson?
Miles is outstanding.
Miles is, okay.
That's correct.
And the chase related to that, when did that take place, and was that being initiated in relation to the homicide investigation, or were they trying to be stopped for some other crime?
Yeah, and I'm not going to go into the details as it pertains to that, because this, once again, is a very complex investigation involving many internal and external partners. But there were certainly some simultaneous investigations taking place in which we were able to identify our suspects involved.
And real briefly on the Anderson Park arrest of Felton, you mentioned that family and friends helped him basically stay on the run for
Yeah.
so long. Do you expect arrests and charges on those individuals for aiding him?
Yeah, we continue to, anytime cases like this, we brought our perpetrator into custody, but certainly we're examining all possibilities as it relates to that as well.
I know you guys have hit a lot on repeat offenders out there. He was
Yeah.
on the run for quite some time. I have to ask, any other crimes that he's known of committing during that time?
Yeah, we not during that specific time frame, but we will provide you a packet through Public Affairs as it pertains to his background as well. Yeah. All right. All set?